Okay, welcome to this video, this stream. We're going to do some interior rendering today, mostly educational, but also some practice for myself. I do think that I need some change the title of the stream quickly. Great, let's get going. So the first thing we're going to do is change to cycles. Do GPU, and then we are going to turn on denoising, 124, with 64 there. Well, turn on denoising in the viewport. The next thing we're going to do is turn on our add-on, which is just N on the keyboard. Sorry, go into our add-ons, turn on render raw. Not necessary for you to have render raw on, but that's something that we are going to use. Basically, add on that adds the camera raw filter into the color management settings of the type blender, so that's quite nice. It's basically just like a compositing tab as well. So there we go. And then in terms of our layout, we're going to move this around a little bit. So let's get our reference here. Let's join that down. And then get our reference from next home. This is the image we're going to try to recreate or take inspiration from at least. So yeah, let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is make a collection called room, and then we're going to I like to put something a man model in there. So this is the Blender Kit add-on. Oh, I need to sign in. So 1 second, let me just sign in. Okay, we're back. We're back and logged in. So there we go. We now have, I like to add in a model of just a man to get the idea of the size of the room. If you go on 1 on the keypad, you can see, if you look at the front view like this, on the top view as well, just checking the general size. We're going to be looking at the product from here, so something around this size is good. And then if we drag this up, and then if we go into and just turn our edge length on, Control A scale, and then we're just going to reduce that down. Let's just do 2.6 for now, that's fine. And then I think this is pretty good. Move this to the right because where our wall's going to be, and then we'll hide our man reference for now. Instead, we'll add a camera, empty cube. This is my standard camera rig that I use. Scale the cube in with S, and then grab the camera, right click, select both, and then parent object, and then Control 0 to look through the camera, and then we're going to rotate this downwards all the way to 90. Move it this way, and then we'll change the dimensions of our image to match the reference roughly. Just go with 3K, and then move this sideways a bit. What I also like to do is, personally, I like to turn pass putt out up to 100, and then we're going to untick all of the details in this viewport so that we don't see all the extra gizmos and things. And then we'll play around with the focal length a bit later, but for now I'm going to go with something like this. I think is quite good. You can clearly see that we have a window in our scene. Now, whether I'm going to have a window at the back depends on lighting requirements, but for now we'll just add the one that we need. So we're going to press Control R and then scale in, Control R again, scale in, just move it in with the mouse. It looks like it's going to the floor in the reference, other than a skirting border which we can add. So let's delete this face, and if you look at our viewport now, I think that's a really good alignment there that we've got going on. We're now going to add a solidify modifier, Control A to apply transform again, and we're just going to make our room have some thickness. Make sure you hit even thickness so that this line is straight. Actually, we could go a bit further actually. Go to 10 centimeters. And then I'm also going to add a bevel modifier to the room so that the edges have some bevel to them. It's a little bit more realistic that way. And then to do that, I am going to change the units in the scene to millimeters. It's just easier for me to adjust this if it's a lower number. So we'll go to 15 to start with. We'll increase the segments, which is going to increase the resolution. Change the wrong one. Let's change this one. Maybe more like 5, and then up the segments like that. It's going to give us that bevel in the corner. So if we go for 3, and then if we shade smooth, it's going to get rid of the lines. And we'll just whack that up to 5. Maybe we'll go to, yeah, we'll go to 5 for now. That's good. So we're going to try find a cabinet that follows the same design style as this or similar. We're kind of looking to, personally, I'm looking to improve my interior rendering lighting for furniture renders and things like that. Not like it's bad at the moment, it's just something that needs a little bit more practice because I spend a lot more time doing product rendering. And then also we want to bolster our portfolio at Renderly and taking images from established furniture companies and the sort of quality that they offer and being able to match it is obviously it's a good thing. So this is what we need to do. We need to try and replicate this image. Obviously, it's going to be slightly different, so it's not going to be a complete copy. But the overall lighting style is going to be the same, so you can show how you can kind of recreate that. In terms of add-ons, we are going to be using Render Raw, which is a paid add-on. However, it isn't required at all. All I would do is, if you're not using Render Raw, is just go to AGX or Filmic and then just set the preset to a high contrast or medium high contrast, and then everything else is going to be the same. I'm going to be messing around a little bit with these values for the temperature and the exposure and the shadows, but that's something that you can just do in Photoshop or any free photo editing software that you use as well. You don't actually have to do this inside Blender. I just like to do it inside Blender so that there's less post-production. In terms of assets, we're going to be using BlenderKit, which is a free add-on, but there's a paid subscription to get models and textures, and then also have a subscription for Polygon, which is the same thing. It's really important to have really high quality textures and models inside your scenes when doing interior rendering. You can have really good lighting setup, but just ruin it with bad textures. So it's really important that you have that. You can get really good high quality textures for free online, even like Polygon or BlenderKit have free versions. There's just less options, but you can still get high quality textures. So those are the add-ons we're going to be using. Like as I mentioned, we're going to try find the cabinet that's similar. If we can't find someone that's one that's similar, we will just model it. It's very simple anyway. If it's slightly different, that's actually better, so it's not a direct copy of the image. It's just more taking inspiration from it. So we're going to type in cabinet in BlenderKit we're going to use. and we're going to have a little look to see if we can find something. Bear in mind, we can always change the texture. So if we find a cabinet that's the right kind of style, then we can, but not the right texture, then we can always change the texture. We can also go for something a little bit different. The general premise is that we want to have a cabinet in the corner that has this kind of rustic look, with the lighting setup and the wallpaper material and stuff like that that we want to replicate. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much. It's a bit different. So if I wanted to create exactly the same, I would just model this, but we don't want to copy exactly. We're just taking inspiration for now. That one's quite nice. It's a really nice cabinet, but I don't think it's quite what we do. These are too vintage, these are too modern. So we'll get there eventually. Otherwise, we'll just model one. This one's kind of close to my TV cabinet though. So expect to kind of have a TV on top of that rather than. So this is the right style, or closer to the right style at least. But it's that's pretty close. It's pretty good. I like that. I like that one a lot. Let's keep looking though. Like a basic IKEA cabinet, probably a bit too simple. This one, too old. Too modern. That's a really nice model. I really like that. Nice chest as well. This one's quite good. I've seen some decent ones so far. Nothing that's like super similar though. So we can even decide to just model it or just continue with something different. Depends if we want the focus to be more on of the stream of lighting, or if we want it to be looking. This one's really good actually. I'm gonna drag this one in as a provisional. So if we find something that's closer, we can. I would change the textures. Um, this is quite a nice one for the style that we want. Like I mentioned, we can always change the textures anyway. Looks like our camera is a little bit in the wrong place, but that's okay. We can change that in a minute. That's more of a kitchen counter. That one's kind of nice, a little bit more traditional though. We need a bit more modern. This is kind of good. This one really does follow the same kind of style, so I'm going to add this one as another provisional as well, or like a maybe. I'll just get it lined up correctly. Delete that. Put somewhere there, that's fine. Because I'm thinking we can change the textures of that and the handle colors to make it look more like the one in our reference, because we are trying to replicate that rustic kind of look. So, yep. Quite a lot of cabinets really, but it's quite a common thing to 3D model, so it makes sense. See, that one could kind of work if it had black, if you change the textures. It's a little bit low though, actually, which makes me think it's more of a TV cabinet. Or is this more like a side table cabinet? Not side table cabinet. It's like one that you actually like store things in a bedroom or in a lounge where you have like paraphernalia on top and things. Nice cabinet like that. I mean, there's so many on here. Like we could do so many different cabinet renders just from the options that are in here alone. As we're trying to practice our lighting and stuff, we don't really want to spend loads of time modeling. So I'll probably, even though this wouldn't take very long to model, but I'll probably just take one of the provisionals we have and change the materials. Unless we find something really close in the next minute or so. They want, I think, different texture. Yeah, I think we're gonna take the provisional that we have. It doesn't have like glass windows, so kind of go with the kind of kitchen ones though. There's so many. I mean, crazy. Didn't expect there to be this many. That's kind of good. This guy's actually done a nice render with his one. It definitely makes it look more professional. Okay, let's settle for what we have. They're close enough. But I do think this one's probably better though. So let's rotate this around. Whoops. Let's rotate this around. And then we'll get searching for textures that will kind of fit a bit better. So what we'll also do is zoom out a bit, but we'll also change our focal length to fit in. Experiment with changing our focal length to fit in the cabinet a bit better. And our dimensions a bit as well. We kind of push them out a bit, and then this way it means that we can frame the shot a bit better. I also noticed in our reference, so you can see that the top of the frame is actually showing, which gives us an idea of the size of the door frame. Is actually window frame, sorry, is too it's too much. So if I zoom in like that, that gives us a slightly better look there. We'll go on the top view and move it to the right. Means we've got some space down there as well for space on the right for a chair. We've got a rug here, and then what I will do is we'll freeze. No, we'll go in the world tab and we'll just turn it to 25, just so we can see what we're doing. And then we'll bring this back in and we'll have a look at the textures. So this is pretty close. So what I'll do for the textures is we'll try and find something that's similar. So first of all, we'll see how this has been textured so that we can kind of adjust it. So if I turn off the edge length now and I just select some of these faces, sorry, got lost there. And we'll add a shader editor here so we can adjust. I mean, I can't believe, I don't understand how that texture can be so complex. That's very odd. It's just the handles, right? It's just the handles. So we'll just add a principled BSDF and just chuck it in there and just reduce it down. That'll honestly do, that'll be completely fine. And then for the frames themselves, I think basically everything else needs to be wood other than the stunts there. So if we select this with L, so select some faces, press L, faces, L, holding shift as well so that we Still selecting everything. We'll just press hide to make sure that we've got all of that. And then we'll press P. And then we'll just delete all these. Not like that, sorry, wrong object. Go back and delete all these is what I meant. Okay, Blender crashed, brilliant. I'm actually very surprised Blender crashed there. That was interesting, to say the least. Make an autosave because we didn't save it for a while. And okay, there we go, we're fine. Save over just to make sure. We'll delete all these spaces. We'll rename this handle. And then everything in this can be the same material. And what material will it be? We'll have to see if the UV editing is good, and we can fix it if not. But otherwise, I am going to go into modeling just because it's easier to see what I'm doing. And we're going to use polygon for the textures here. And using polygon, we're going to find something that matches. Add in our reference. We're going within polygon. We're going to textures. Textures, wood. This is like a rustic. We'll try veneer fur. You can always change the hue and stuff of the texture. See, that's not going to work at all. It actually has tiles, so it might be better to actually change this to flooring, because then we'll get the like tiled kind of look that we want. So something like this could work if we then change the hue of it. Obviously the UVs are kind of all over the place, which makes it a bit difficult actually. So let me just try and redo them quickly. Okay. Kind of hard to see. Here we go. I can see this from the top. See, this could actually work with some hue changes. So let's fix the UVs. I don't really know what's happened here with the UVs. Well, we can fix them. So we'll go around and about it for this particular object. First of all, what I'll probably like to do we can maybe just do smart UVs. Let's see if that works. Okay, that's not perfect. It's definitely closer. And then what we can do is we can adjust it. But that's definitely given us the look we want. Just at the wrong shade. But we can change the hue quite easily. Got those darker bits in there as well. Let's try this for now. We need to get everything working in the same direction. So let's go into UV editing. Press L to select all of this, and then RX90. And then same here, RX90. And then same here as well. RX90. Where do we want that? As it is. this top edge needs to be this way, and this needs to be that way. Just doing RX90 on all these faces just to fix the direction. If we look at our reference, how are the sides? There are no sides, so you can't tell. I think that way it probably makes sense for the sides. Scale them up a bit. The way they are actually. Right, 90 there. Second. Sorry about that. I just stopped for a sec to do an email. Let's get this running again, shall we? Okay, going back to what we were doing. We're only going to see the front actually, so it doesn't really matter what the sides are doing. Let's. Oh my god, have I lost the texture? I've been stupid. I might have done. Yeah, what one was it? Was it this one? I think it was this one. Yeah, it is, right. Download this and apply it. Cool. Now you can see we kind of have that effect, similar looking effect. It's close enough for me. And then we're going to, like I said, we're kind of recreating the image in our own way. We're not going to copy it completely. We're going to add just a touch of hue there and a little bit of saturation and make it darker as well. Actually increase the saturation a bit. Just messing around with these values a bit so we get the right amounts. Cool. Let's check the, it looks like it might be floating a little bit. Should we check? Yeah, it is. So actually it's floating quite a lot. Let's get that so it's not floating anymore. And let's have a look at our floor texture. So if we take our floor material and we select the bottom edges, press assign, and now just make them a random color. Invert, and then assign the other color. We now separated the wall and ceiling, the wall, ceiling, and the floor. That means that we can then go into Polygon and look for a material that matches this kind of chevron style. So the best way to do that, let me go on this so I've got more space, would be just go on this and then I guess it's flooring, but if we type in chevron, it should come up. Yep, perfect. This is looking quite good. Let's do a little test first, though. Let's try this one. We're using the wrong thingy there. There we go. Okay, let's do a UV. So if we just go on top view and just do project from view, that will fix that up. And then if we just add a UV editing here and scale it up, that's our floor right there. So that should be pretty good. Scale it up a lot more actually, like that. I think that's looking the way we want it. Let's see from this view. Yep, that's looking good. We can change the hue and stuff in a second. So if we go back to it, hopefully I haven't lost it again. It was this one, download it and apply. And looks like we kind of messed up there a little bit. So I just delete these then. Delete these. Delete that. Let's convert sign. Okay. And regarding this, we'll do our lighting first, but I do believe we're probably going to make some adjustments to this texture soon. The wall material, which is a large part of this rustic kind of look in this image, is this kind of not damaged but rather smudged wall texture. So it's a very important part of the image. So we will go back into Polygon and we will look for a solid texture for this as well. So if we go on textures and go on, that's cladding's exterior, isn't it? No, it's, yeah, it is exterior. Ceilings. Do you reckon it would be in plaster? Yeah. Let's check this one. Yes, UVs. So let's select this edge, go UV project from view. We can do it properly as well, to be honest, if we want. Just so we know it's correct. So let's just select all these bottom faces, bottom edges, sorry. Select all these edges, all the corner ones as well, and the top corners of the ceiling as well. Okay, I think that's correct. Yeah, let me just do this to see what we're doing better. Mark them as seams, and then select them all apart from our floor because we've already done that. And then we can do angle based for that, and then we can scale it up, get the look that we want. Don't worry about the inside of that face, we'll fix that soon. Scale it up to something that's kind of accurate. Cool. And then let's find another texture because this one's a little bit too, just a little bit too strong. This one might work well. Obviously changing the color, but let's see. Yeah, that one's gonna work well. So our UV editor, we will make it a bit smaller, and we'll download that, apply it. Okay, nice. And then we'll change the hue. That's like the important part. We'll change the hue. We'll go grab our reference back again. Reduce the saturation by quite a lot. So scale like that, we can get something that's a bit better. I think that is perfect. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply this solidify modifier so that we can then just select mode, all of these like this, up in there. Show you why that's done that. Doesn't really matter though, because we can't see that section anyway. Mark these seams, then angle base UV wrap that again to get that nice texture on the wall. Now let's add more props. We'll do the lighting last, so we'll add more props. So put in dead flower. I mean, hopefully it comes up with the right thing. Like dried flowers, they're more like dried, not dead. Well, they are dead, but that'll give us what we want. So something like this would be nice. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna remove. I can't remove those. Why they are there below. Scene. Don't want them out. That. Okay, we'll scale it down a bit. That. Nice. And then we need like a kind of industrial style, like rustic looking lamp. That's not too crazy though. Let's see. Type in desolate. Maybe we get something a bit better. I spell it wrong. This could be quite good. Like this, if we change the material color, this could also be good. This is kind of like basic, but like do the job though, won't it? So let's see that. Let's make it a bit bigger. And personally, I think it should be a brass color, just because I think that would look better. Actually, I mean, the silver's fine. I mean, I might make it just darker silver though. It helps work with the rustic look, like that. Yeah, that's better. And then what we'll do inside that collection, we'll add a point light. That inside, like this. Drag it up. Do that and not cast shadow. Yeah, and then we'll scale it right down. I mean, we can always have it off it. We can just see how it goes with it being on. See how that looks. And then we get some books. We can put them in the actual slot inside the cabinet, might as well, as we have that available to us. So just grab like a stack of books like this. Make them a bit bigger if we wish. Do that pages to the front. that. Maybe do like a little candle or something on the in the middle. Separate these so we can control them separately. Okay, looking good. And then let me show you the lighting setup. So it's gonna be quite simple, I think. I hope at least it's gonna be quite simple. Oh yeah, no, we still need to add the rug and the chair as well. So let's add the rug. It's kind of like a very textured looking rug, kind of rustic kind of style. I do think something like this would look good though, to be fair. I know it's going off topic a little bit, but like off the style, but I do think that would actually look really good. Kind of fits the vibe quite nicely. I wish it was high quality though. Might just like keep it as provisional because I really like the way it looks. I just wish it was higher quality. But I do like the way that looks. It looks like really good. Really suits the scene. But as a provisional, we'll put down something. Something like this might work too. I mean, this might also be the same. So that one's too bright, actually. I mean, like a tattered one. I mean, this circular one also might look good. It might not match the scene kind of from a composition form wise though. Nah, that doesn't work. I think rug is like it's like a British term for this. So like we could always try a different say carpet instead. This one might be good if we change the texture color. Actually, nah, don't like that one. I really like the first one we did, but I don't know if the quality is good now. This one might be good. Now let's change. Let's save the file as well while we're here. Keep looking. I mean, I do like this one. I'll probably just, I'll probably just leave that. No, I like the way that looked. I think it looked really good. Let's do a chair. Yeah, there's like a lot of office chairs. We need like a in style lounge chair. Okay, now it's like really big ones. And like that could be good as well. Let's try this quick. Position it in the same spot. Okay, it can be provish. It's quite good too. This is really good. Change the color as well though if I wish, which I probably will. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's go with that. Let's change the color though. I would prefer like a green. Like almost on the side of like thingy like that. That'd be perfect. Let's match the reference with that one. I think that looks better. Okay, now color wise, lighting wise, we can have a look now. Add temperature to this and turn it down. Something like that will be good. We're going to do two things. We're going to first of all choose a HDRI that matches the style that we want, and then secondly we're going to add a sunlight to create this effect right there. We might have to add something in the window to make these lines, but first of all we'll make an environment texture, and I'm going to where my HDRIs are and try and pick one. Reduce it down. Yep. I knew this one probably be quite good. It's pretty like intense. It kind of matches what we need though. For some reason I have Node Wrangler turned on. It's because I've got a new computer, so it's not set up. And then we can screw around a little bit with the light. Like technically we could go with something like this. But I feel like I'd rather create the sunlight with the natural sunlight because we'll have more control. So in that case, if we just have something that kind of lights the scene as a whole, doesn't create too much, doesn't affect the light coming in the window too much. Like it kind of just like fills our scene with light, makes this like intense light here, which matches this, and then we can add the sunlight, and we can color correct in a minute as well the materials and the we can color correct the materials using render raw, as well as just changing the materials. So HDRI and sunlight is what we're going to use here. So this is good. We're going to drag this in. I'll put this where the light is. Turn up to 5, and for now I'm going to turn this off, just so we can see exactly how, the way this sunlight is affecting our scene. It's going to be somewhere around there. Let's change this to local. Actually, no, playing global. You can see in our scene it lands about here, and it starts around about where the sun lamp is. Problem for us is that this door is too. Our sun lamp is kind of pull that across a bit, move our camera across as well. Then we can maybe get the sunlight a bit closer to where we want it. And then in the sunlight settings, it's not quite exactly the same, but increase the softness. That is going to increase the softness. That's going to make more of the look that we want. And if we move this, we can then make the sunlight hit in the same spot. And if we move the camera to the right a bit, just to cut off some of this side that we don't want there. Let's mess around a bit with the how far it comes in. This is good. And then let's do that again, just pulling that back and pulling this across a bit. Perfect. And when we add this back in, the amount we lower this, the more contrast we'll get from the dark and the light part of the scene. Something around like kind of here I think would work well. Now we can, before we do that actually, let's create something for the sunlight to reflect this window. Obviously in this image, if it's an image, I think it might be a render though, but there's something in the window that's creating these lines. So we're going to replicate that right now. We'll do it in the room section. So if we just create a basically make like a window basically, but because the we don't actually see the window in the scene, we don't need to give it a glass material or anything like that. I actually prefer not to if I have to. So we're going to shut this off, and then we're going to inset this, delete the face. Actually, we'll make some cuts in it, and we'll delete every other face for now. See on the floor there the effect that this has had. I think we have too many though, so what we'll do is we'll select three, and then maybe 2 or something. And now you can see that's creating that look. And if we reduce the angle of the sun, it's going to make it more sharp. It's going to make those lines more visible. So we can rotate this way a little bit, and I wouldn't mind turning this up a little bit there. You turn up, light up as well. This down a bit, the angle. You get that kind of slitted like lighting effect. Down a bit, we get more contrast. Okay, let's go with that, and then let's change the materials. So first of all, this is it's a little bit darker, and I actually think it might have been okay how it was. The floor itself, I would like, if I could, to make the UVs smaller so we can see the chevrons better. I went overboard on that. Change that so we can still have our reference up. And if we just slightly change the hue of the floor, we get the floor material, sorry. The hue and sat node here. I'm just giving it a bit more saturation. That. Changing the hue. As you can see, we've kind of lost this edge here. So what I'm going to do is delete that so we get that back. There we go, that works perfectly. And I can always change the position of this. The reference has this hard shadow on the lamp, which is quite interesting. I don't exactly know why ours isn't creating that. If I turn off this, will it do it? Okay, it does it here, look. So it's obviously just the positioning of the shadow, the sharpness. Oh, bear in mind it's a different lamp, obviously, so it's got there is a shadow of the lamp, but it's a different lamp, so it's not going to look the same. So now we can just mess around with the actually would rather this just be softer, to be fair, and just the shadow not exist, or kind of like this is good for me. I think this is like better. And then we mess around with the strength of the HDRI and the strength of the um, sunlight. We can find a balance that we're happy with. Bear in mind the sunlight does illuminate the room a bit, but just not much. You know, this would be like you're basically like working with the time of day here. Like this kind of looks like if you have it really low, it kind of looks like it's like sunset. It's like very dynamic image. And if you have it higher up, it kind of looks like more like middle of the day and stuff. It really just depends what kind of image you're trying to create. Maybe something like this would be good. And this is where we can use the render raw. Sorry, we can use the render. I don't know why my voice cracked there. We can use render raw to play around with the settings. So first of all, just make sure that when you're looking at the viewport, you have compositor enabled. And then I move to this tab just so that we get a higher, a larger window for us to look at. Put in our reference on the right. And this is the point where we can stray away a little bit if we felt like we want to create something that actually looks a little bit better than the reference. So probably not going to mess with exposure because then we just kind of assigned the amounts that we liked, in terms of the scene itself. What I will do is I will have a look at the temperature. So we can kind of make it colder or warmer. I'm wondering whether just a little bit colder would be good. And then just overall contrast up a bit. Turn the highlights up a little bit and the shadows down a bit to look a little bit more dynamic. Then we can also play around with lens distortion. So if we just put that on 001, it's going to create, you can see if I do this. Is that what I wanted? No, I don't want to do lens distortion, sorry. Sorry, the keybiz thing's in the way. Let me just move it. There's another setting somewhere. I think I might have forgotten it though, so we'll leave it for now. Maybe add just like a touch of glare. It kind of softens the image a little bit, which is something that I think Blender Cycles kind of struggles with a bit. And then vignette, we definitely want a vignette, put it up to 10. And if we add some film grain, that'll help with realism because we're going to use a denoiser. So adding a little bit of that noise back in. Leave it on 20 for now, and then if that doesn't look right, we can, yeah, I can already see that doesn't look right, actually. Perfect. And then, let's see. I think this leg here, if we made that a bit darker, it would match the vibe a bit more. I'll just like reduce that down a bit. Black though, like just like a darker wood. Scale that down a bit, and maybe move this to the right a little bit. And then if I'll actually reduce this in a bit, get rid of our, we're seeing a bit too much of that window frame. I think I'm pretty happy with this. I might make this sun a little bit more intense. Maybe like 11. Let me check any final settings in here that we might want to mess with. There is texture, which kind of looks better actually done in Photoshop, which is a shame because it's my favorite thing. It doesn't really have the same effect inside the render raw add-on. It kind of works the way clarity does outside, so I might do that side of post-production. But we're gonna, I'm pretty happy with this. Let's render this out. If you're wondering about the render settings, so we've got the image itself is 1920 by 2713, which I think I'm happy with that size. We're going to use 1024 samples, sorry, denoising on with open image denoise using the GPU. And then for system settings, let's go with optics. Is going to be quicker. So optics is going to be at least 30 to 50% quicker than CUDA, by the way, with very limited difference in terms of render quality. So let's render this one out. Should take a few minutes. That's usually the kind of area that I'm kind of targeting in terms of interior renders. I think if you're kind of doing it, if you're rendering it in like 30 seconds, oh, I forgot to, I forgot the actual, that's so funny. Forgot the handles. Obviously now I've accidentally moved the, so obviously I've messed up there, haven't I? The cabinet wasn't floating, it was sitting on stand, wasn't it? Of course, not stands, the legs. Let me just check this now. I'll just isolate them so that we can kind of have the same overhang on each side, roughly. Okay, and then these themselves. Okay, and then we'll just change our props. Because we'll need to adjust their height now. They won't be correct. Make sure we move the point light with it as well. If I forgot that happens. Up like that. I think that's good now. Let's just check the actual handles, how they're affecting with the light. I'll probably give them a more metallic look with less roughness, maybe less than that. Works quite well. Maybe add a little bit of that back. That's good. They maybe look a little bit black on this side, so something like that works well. They're a little bit. Wonder what silver would look like. Silver looks kind of good actually. I also wonder what gold would look like as well. Probably looks pretty good. I think the silver actually looks really good. Yeah, but maybe for the effect that we're going for, just like a dark metal would look best. But if we change the, I think these should be black. So just call these feet and then black. Fine. Fine. And then if the handles themselves are like a little bit metallic looking, I think that looks a bit better. Increase our surrounding light a little bit more. Okay, now let's render it out now. So if you're wondering why it doesn't look great in this, it's because it's not applied the render raw add-on compositor node yet until it's finished rendering. If you're not using the add-on, obviously you won't have this problem. I think this is decent enough quality, this rug. I do think that wood, to be honest, actually, I think that wood texture on, it's only a very small detail. It's only like a 2% detail, but this wood texture is not looking good. I want to change that to something that looks a bit better. So we can use polygon again. We just go back to it. Just find something that looks a bit better. It also, I think the UVs are a little bit off on that. So we just go on textures, go wood. Not painted, sorry. Veneer, I guess. See what this looks like. And if you go into UV editor, get that up a bit. See what that looks like. I think that kind of looks a little bit too glossy for sure. Too like, I guess the veneers is what that creates that. Let's go frozen save. Let's quickly just make a new render setup. Turning on render raw. And then open our reference as well to see what it looks like that. So it's a lot more tame. It's probably just the lighting that's kind of affecting that. This, it means that I can go in polygon, use some of these. Old wood, maybe that would look good. Uni means, but I mean, we like wicker, but that's not gonna work either. I think engineered makes sense either. Lighting's like exterior, but what about this? That actually genuinely could look good. That could look really good. that could make a lot of sense. It was this one, wasn't it? Let's apply that. And if we go on to what I would like to do, that looks a lot better. I definitely prefer that. The only thing we need to do is I would prefer it to be a little bit more reflective, just not as much as before. So like this is like the way it was before. This is like the default. I don't want it to just like have like a bit of reflectiveness, but not too much. And then I'll probably I like the texture, but I think I would make it a little bit stronger. And just like the smallest touch in hue change as well. Yeah, that looks good to me. Let's render this out and have a look. And these are the small things that you need to do as you kind of work with the file to kind of change. As you push render, you kind of have a look at things. You realize that there's certain things you don't like, and those small things they only make up a couple percent. But if you do like 5-6 of them, you end up with a 20% better render just from that alone. I'm just going to rotate this because the way I had it before, it looked like it wasn't attached. Whereas having it like that makes it look like one whole piece. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I actually didn't expect anyone to come in with a question. The issue of scale has always been a problem because I think textures don't work in other scenes if nothing is large scale. In other words, if a model and object both similarities. Yeah, I mean, do I have who's playing? Is it? Oh yeah, issue myself. Sorry. Um, sorry. Going back to your question. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think like your textures can work regardless if the objects are large or small. You just have to get the numbers right. Um, it's just a numbers thing. Like if it's obviously if everything's much larger scale wise and been modeled in meters, you need to times it by 1,000 or whatever the number is, which can get awkward. Don't get me wrong. That's why UV editing is the best way to control textures inside Blender, rather than trying to do it with the like when you have the nodes. Like if you're trying to use the generated object, you're gonna have a big problem with scale. But if you use UVs, you're not gonna have a problem with scale, because if it's a lot easier to go into the UV editor and then just scale it up from there. So I don't know if you're using UVs or not, but yeah, you basically have to use UVs. I very rarely will use generated object. It just doesn't really work that well. If you can do that, then it doesn't matter the size of the image. Sorry, it doesn't matter the size of the object really. You just got to get the numbers right with the textures. That's all. Okay, so now the scene is done. I can have a look at now the rendering's done. Quality is all good in my book. You don't really need higher quality than this if you are trying to do sort of if you're trying to do like printing it out for whatever reason. So I can take a look now that we're complete in the render result, and then we can mess around. The good thing about the render raw add-on is you can then mess around a little bit with the settings afterwards if you wanted to change anything. But I like the way that looks, I might just change that in Photoshop. But other than that, I actually think I'm pretty happy with this. So we'll just call this next home one renderly because it's kind of recreation. And I'll show you my general post-production technique in Photoshop. Let me know if that answered your question. I don't know if how to answer it really. I think I'm trying to say that if you're having trouble with the scale of the texture, it might be because you're not using the UVs. Because with UV unwrapping, you can't really have an issue with the scale of the object. Because when you scale the object, it will just be the same. Like, for example, because this texture here, this object here is using UVs, if I scale it up, like even if I make it huge, the texture is the same regardless of the size, because you're using UVs. Whereas if you're using like generated or object, as you scale it up, it changes a little bit, I think. But you just have a lot more control, and then you can go in here, and it's a lot easier to scale this by like 100 than it is screwing around with the numbers. So in terms of post-production, by the way, I like to keep it as minimal as possible, which is why I really like the render raw add-on. Sometimes I would like to literally have no post-production, but one setting that I really like in Photoshop, in the camera raw in Photoshop, which the render raw add-on is supposed to try and replicate, which it does do very well, but the texture effect is just not the same inside render raw. It's just so much better in Photoshop. It do what it needs to do. It just makes the actual textures a lot more clear and defined, which really helps with realism. I also like the clarity button as well. Turn that up to like 10. And generally I think the grain looks better inside Photoshop as well. But the vignette, everything else it kind of works quite well, to be honest, anyway. So that's the post-production I would do. Now, if we look at our reference, obviously we created a different image overall, but I would say it's pretty good still. I'm still very happy with this image, so it's been a good practice today. It's been a nice practice today working on this. R1 is, I just realized R1 is like a lot less, a lot darker, so we wanted to do that. We could either do that in Photoshop, or we can just increase exposure. Something like this. Look a bit closer. I mean, the exposure is something you can literally just do inside Blender as well. It's not like a big deal. I'd say, actually, yeah, let me show you something. So I noticed a couple of things. So first of all, let's just increase our exposure, which is almost the same thing as just changing the strength. But bear in mind, the strength will change the contrast difference between the sunlight and the exterior. This also does that, but it also slightly increases the sunlight as well at the same time. It's more like a linear change in lighting. And I also noticed it in our reference, the sun looks more, where is it? Bring in. The sun looks more warm than our one, and that's because we actually have no color in our sunlight. So let me just change the sunlight color. Just give it like a 0.6, sorry, a 0.1 and a 0.1, perhaps. 0.05, 0.075 and a 0.2 usually works quite well. Because look, if we make two of these, turn saturation down on this one. This is what we had before. What we have now. You can see there's like a little bit extra. Actually, might make it 1. Maybe 0.125, and reduce. See, as I reduce the saturation, it changes the way it looks. We're 0.1 actually, and then put this on 0.15, and we'll turn this up to 12. And they're quite like So I quite like the contrast between these shadows. So us being dark in the reference is actually okay. I don't mind that a little bit. Let's re-render. Oh, to be honest, while we're re-rendering, I can maybe fix that thing, that light effect, which is here. What is that? Or is it just the? Oh, it's just the texture. Okay, so if I just move it, literally the smallest bit, it will move it. Render again. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this overall. We'll have another go at the Photoshop adjustments now. All it really is texture. Ideally, it's just that texture and that clarity change. Okay. Looking nice. Save. Let's drag this in here. Camera raw filter. Up the texture, which is like just a favorite of mine for making the render look nicer. And a clarity up as well. Makes those shadows a little bit darker. And we can save that in. Save that like that. And there you have it. Our render complete. Happy with that. Good practice, and I think a job decently done there. Happy with that overall. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I answered your question, Aaron. This video is going to go up now as a video for anyone to watch if they want some advice.